You are ultimately responsible for every interaction when you play a fighting game. If a move doesn't work the way you expect and it causes you to lose, the game is not to blame for this. You are. Oh boy, this is a tough one for people to swallow. Fighting games are deterministic, and virtually every interaction can be researched or studied if you had unlimited time. If your anti-air got stuffed by a certain move, you could have known this would have happened in advance. Now, I don't expect every interaction to be fully known by every player. That is pretty unreasonable, and I recognize that some interactions in fighting games can be frustrating. But the game is never at fault for your own lack of knowledge. You need to learn and adjust going forward. You can get it put in a dangerous trap where everything that doesn't go according to your plan is never your fault. This will both stunt your growth as a fighting game player and make you needlessly hate on a game. This happens so often, by the way. When somebody tries something to beat some option, you're like, bro, that's exactly what I thought he was going to do. I knew he was going to do that there, so I did this to beat it. Why the fuck didn't it beat it? If you ever have heard me play online, how often have you heard me say, damn, I made the right read there, and I tried to beat it with this, but it didn't work. But I had the right idea, so I know, okay, so next time, if I make that kind of read, then I need to do something else in that situation. That's the kind of decision-making you should be making instead of, oh my God, I totally knew he was going to do this there, and I tried this, and it didn't work. If you learn that, hey, this move has a disjointed hitbox, and every time I try to swing into it, my button doesn't work, then you've learned that. And if you keep trying the same thing over and over, knowing it's going to lose and yelling that the game sucks, that's not the game's fault. At some point, when you know an option doesn't work and you've tried it the 9th time in a row and it's lost to the same option, it's not the game's fault. It's your fault. And it's been your fault for like 7 tries now. You can complain about it being powerful. There's no problem complaining about it being powerful. I don't think anybody would blame you for saying, wow, this move has a disjointed hitbox and you can't hit it. That's stupid. Like, remember Minot's heavy punch when she could just swing half screen and you couldn't like poke against it? That shit is hella stupid. All of us think that's stupid. That doesn't mean though that swinging into it and dying and then blaming the game for it is worthwhile or even worth your energy. You know that that's how that happens. You can think it's stupid and you can complain about it, but if you have not tried to figure out what works about it or what stops it or has done research into it, then like, you know, it's only so much complaining you can get done. If there is something you are losing against, you can always test it. This is one interaction I'm getting destroyed by. The next time I fight against this character, I'll know how to stop it because I'll spend 5 seconds in training mode and I'll learn it. You learn against every character as you go, right? And you just keep adding bits of knowledge to your repertoire and game knowledge over and over and over and over, right? Here's the thing, chat room. You should listen to the things I say instead of just typing in the chat. You can read the tweets. It's on the screen. This tweet is not very like absolute. It's like, look, I don't expect every interaction to be known. I know that sometimes it's frustrating and you can complain. I know that sometimes it's not like, hey, never complain. As a player, it's a lot more fun when I can learn to fight against characters by playing against them. When I have to play a character I don't care about to learn what XYZ character specific mechanic does, I lose interest fast. Why would you have to learn how a character works by playing them to do it? That's one way to learn it. But you can play against a character and learn while you fight them. Let's say this character is doing a button and you have no idea how to stop it. You're just like, okay, let me try my medium punch. Wow, it didn't work. Okay, let me try my heavy punch. Wow, it didn't work. Let me try my, there's no reason that you can't just lose matches, but try to defeat stuff while you're fighting them or even go into training mode after, which you say you're okay with. I can't think of very many characters where you need to learn the mechanics specifically by playing them themselves to feel it. To fight against a character, you can just try stuff. What do you lose by fighting against a character and saying, I have no idea how to stop this one thing. Let me figure out how to stop it. Imagine losing 3 or 4 games to figure out how to beat something, and then from then on, you now have knowledge how to beat this scenario. Even if they had some unique system mechanic or something, I never felt like, I don't know about that. It's always like, wait, can I shadow counter this? Oh, is it plus? Oh, is it minus? Can I uppercut? Like, there are just questions. It's like a sheet you can just check off as you go down to see if you can stop it. When you're playing against a character, it's constantly you trying to figure out more or better ways to counter whatever they're doing. It's just trial and error. And if you don't want to do trial or error, you just go to training mode and you try to do it. What about Karen and SF5 or Vega? They're characters. What about the Sun? I don't know what that means. You got to give me a little bit more context. I like their theme music. Their theme music is cool. Fighting games are visual, so things should visually make sense. But if you, the player, try to hit something and it turns out that hurt box is not there and you're upset about it, cool. I can understand why you'd be frustrated about that situation. But if you continue to try to hit a hurt box when you know it's not there, it's not the game's fault. It's your fault. You have to learn. You can think to yourself, that doesn't make any sense. That's stupid. I don't understand that. But okay, like, I guess, right? You then move on. If you try to anti-air a move with crouching heavy punch and it loses 4 times in a row, and you say, my crouching heavy punch should hit that. Okay, but it doesn't. The game is not lying to you. It just exists, right? It's like math. If it doesn't work, then you have to try something else and adapt. You know, like in Street Fighter, there's a character like Minot, who her orb doesn't have a hurt box. But then in Grand Blue, when you do these far weapon attacks, the weapons have a hurt box coming back. And I don't know that I would say either of them are shitty game designs. It's a decision that they've made about the game, about the strength of the character and how the character's moves should work. Should it follow one rule? Should it be the same? Should it be different? Why should it be one way or another? It's different. At some point, you have to recognize that the options you're doing are incorrect. The game has told you they're incorrect. And fighting game players, I shouldn't say just fighting game players, all kinds of people are constantly trying to blame the game for their decision making and not adjusting things. So you are justifying Fist of the North Star? That game is perfectly designed. What are you talking about? I think those are very fair statements. But also, so many people are like, no, this game is wrong and I hate it. If the move looks like it hits there and it doesn't, it's bad, I hate it. And it's like, okay, sure, maybe you don't like it and maybe you think it's stupid. Maybe I think it's stupid too. But at some point, you have to recognize that the way it works is not the way you think it works, and you have to adjust your strategy accordingly. And if you don't, it's your fault. Fighting game players let themselves become so frustrated and hateful and spiteful about games because they think it should work in a way that it doesn't. They want the game to be different for whatever reason, whether it's balance or visuals or whatever it is. If you don't agree with like all the philosophies of a game or how a bunch of shit in the game works, you probably just shouldn't play it. It's probably not a good game for you. You know what I mean? Like, there comes a certain point where, like, you have to recognize whether the stuff in the game is for you or not. Yeah, it also means if you're trying to whiff punish a move and it has no extended hurt box and you tried it 100 times and it's like, well, it doesn't work. And you keep trying it and later on they add a hurt box. It doesn't mean you were right at the time. Because at the time, you tried to whip punish it, you found out it has no hurt box, and you kept trying it. You're wrong. You want it to have a hurt box, but it doesn't. It doesn't mean your decisions were suddenly justified. If your opponent's +2, and you keep mashing after getting counter hit, and then they nerf it to -2, and now you're hitting buttons, and you're like, haha, I was right the whole time. It's like, it's not exactly how it works. So how does this retain to rollback with netcode? So, when you're designing a game, it be like it is, but it do. It be do.